Welcome back to Let's Talk About Sonic. I'm Mitt. My tag action is that I can make 40 Miis in a week.
I'm Crepe. My tag action is that I can only make 2 Miis a week.
If you put us together, then I can make less Miis in a week. It's not one of the better tag actions, unfortunately.
Mitt takes my swimming ability and makes it slower and more straightforward and easier to control.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make any sense. It makes it faster and more haphazard.
It's better for moving horizontally but not vertically.
Yeah. This is a great pace.
Yeah, we're doing good. So this week's episode, assuming we're actually starting now, cut that out.
I think we are.
Okay. So this week's episode, we're talking about kind of Sonic Advance 3. It's mostly a brainstorming episode where we talk about, hypothetically, what if they put more Sonic characters in 2D, but like if they were in an advanced style game and they had stuff they could do with the B button and stuff like that.
Everyone loves like Sonic game development thought exercises. If you think you don't, you are lying to yourself, I think. Probably. Actually, don't quote me on that.
Yeah. You can quote me on that though.
Quote Mitt on that.
Yeah.
I'm not putting my foot out there, apparently.
Yeah, I'm putting mine. My leg's getting a little tired. So, like, the Sonic Advance as a franchise covers Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Cream. So, with them out of the way, and as a baseline, we kind of have an idea of what we're getting into. We're running headfirst into this episode. We're making sure we're just going.
We pressed the proverbial double forward in the air.
Yes, which is unfortunately not off the table in terms of moveset ideas.
Yeah.
Even if that's not the best idea. I guess we could also take this opportunity to talk about how that kind of tag action system works and its ups and downs, so to speak. So
right.
In Sonic Advance 3, this is the only Sonic game that really has this besides Chaotix. They brought back they made having 2 characters that you play as meaningful again, which wasn't really much of a thing since Chaotix, wherein every character, like usual in the advanced games, has their own stuff, but now they like did a thing with it where if you hold the R button, then that other character will like jump into your hands, and then once you release, you do a special tag action, and depending on your combination of characters, your character's moveset will not only change, but that tag action will also change depending on who you're playing as. So like if you're Sonic and your partner is Tails, then when you hold the R button and let go, your tag action will be he launches you in the air, or if you do it in the air, then you start flying like in Sonic 3 when you jump onto Tails. But if you're, say, Tails and your partner is Knuckles, then you lose the ability to fly. You can glide only. And your tag action becomes Knuckles' tag action, which is if you're on the ground, you throw him forward, and if you're in the air, then you could jump on his back and glide with him, which is funny saying it that way.
It's the only time in the whole franchise where anyone actually rides on Knuckles while he's gliding.
Yeah, which is it's weird to think about because it's a stupid thing that they shouldn't do again, but it's also like a little bit funny and a little bit cool, so maybe they should do it like once.
I think it's
like
at least fun gameplay wise.
Yeah, it's neat. It's a good way to give other characters Knuckles' ability without it getting weird. I think that's also kind of the case with most of the other characters, right?
Yeah. I mean, part of that is that like Cream's tag action for her as your partner is to like manifest a chow for you to use the same way that she uses cheese.
Yeah.
So it's like it to some degree the tag actions fill this purpose of like bringing your partner's abilities over to you. Not always, but definitely with those air abilities for having Tails or Knuckles as your partner, that's the case.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way of handling different character abilities and having a more fleshed out overall move set,
Mm-hmm.
things that you can accomplish.
It definitely made Amy very interesting because typically, well, her moveset's always been kind of shaky in the advanced games, right? Because I think in advanced 2 they simplified it.
Yeah, she doesn't have her hammer in Advanced 2, I don't think.
Yeah, because in advanced 1 she couldn't curl up into a ball in the air necessarily. She was a lot like how she handled in Adventure, where a lot of her combat and movement relied on her hammer. Um, they brought that back sort of in Advanced 3. It depends on who your partner character is. But
Right.
usually, if you are Amy, you won't have the ability to curl up into a ball. If your partner's Sonic, then you basically just control like Sonic and you have a Pico Pico hammer.
Yeah, it
Um,
brings her more online with how she was in Advanced 2, just with some extras.
yeah. And then if Amy is your partner and you're any other character, then you can't curl up into a ball automatically. If you press the B button when you're in the air, do then you curl like normal,
Oh.
but you don't do it by default. You just do the dinky little Amy jump, and you get a Pico Pico hammer on the ground, which is useful sometimes.
Knuckles gets a really big one, if I remember correctly.
It's not that big.
Okay.
It's got a spike on it. I don't know if like you could charge it. I don't think you can.
I feel like this is kind of a weird pull, but I think some people will get it. I feel like the hammers for the characters when Amy's your buddy in Sonic Advance 2 should have been bigger than hers because they're much more situational in usage. So it would have
Yeah.
made them actually useful in that situation, in the same way that they made just the right tweaks to make Zero's saber useful for X and Mega Man X6, despite it not having the 1-2-3 combo that Zero had in the previous 2 games and in that game when you get him.
Mm-hmm.
It has a slightly longer reach than Zero had with it. It has kind of a long-lasting hitbox, and it does more damage than your charge shots. So it's hard to use compared to like Zero's flexibility and movement and motion, but it's pretty heavy hitting. So the times where it's useful to use, it's really useful to use.
Yeah. On that note, they did break up Knuckles' 3-hit combo that I believe he's had in the past, where it's like 1 punch, 2 punch, and then an uppercut.
Right.
He only has the 2 punches by default, but then if you're with Tails, you always have the uppercut.
Oh, strange. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Knuckles is kind of funny in that regard because like I think having Tails is kind of the best case scenario for Knuckles because then you get a double jump on top of your glide.
Yeah, right. That's part of what I like and find interesting about the tag system in SA3, in Advance 3. Sorry, not to confuse anyone. In that, like, it in some cases can make up for specific characters' design shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those are intentional, like you want to focus this character's movement abilities in this way and giving them some verticality takes away from that focus, or just changes what you think of controlling them, period. But then having several games in a row where they lack that kind of verticality and then giving it to them situationally is really interesting, whether or not it breaks anything.
Yeah. It's definitely a very smart way of condensing playing as 2 characters into one. A lot more intelligent, or a lot more clever than Sonic 4 Episode 2 handled it.
Oh,
which
right.
Clunky,
Yeah.
funky.
And obviously that game was never going to do anything other than Sonic and Tails, but like it kind of couldn't have, even if it wanted to, just the way that it was approaching that duo.
Yeah, and like I guess that's fine because like the game is designed around it, but the tag actions are so situational, whereas in Advance 3 they definitely better suit a traditionally designed Sonic game, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's that sort of thing where the tag actions in Sonic 4 Episode 2, aside from just being situational, like you mentioned, they're just... You can't even, like, make new situations to use them in. Like, there isn't that fluidity of design that lets you find interesting applications for them, even outside of the times that they're mandatory. Whereas in Advance 3, there are plenty of different ways you can make use of all the different character interactions. Yeah. It's this sort of it's this kind of design I like when there's multiple different character playstyles in a game where you have a situation and there's at least like 5 or 6 different answers to it depending on who you're playing as, and they all work.
Right. So here's the $1 million question. Who do we add to it?
My first thoughts... Oh, go ahead, actually.
I mean, I was going to say, my first guess would be Shadow, right? Like, out of every character that they would add next, it should be Shadow.
I was going to say Shadow or Blaze.
Yeah, I think we both want to talk about Blaze, but we should probably talk about Shadow first.
We should talk about Shadow first. I mean, the reality of it is, Shadow is one of the handful of characters who actually appeared on the Game Boy Advance in that era without being in the Advance games. The other ones being like Rouge, Chaos, Gamma. Anyone else I'm forgetting from Battle? I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All those being the characters who were in Sonic Battle. There are a ton of like Sonic Advance inspired fan games that just pull Shadow sprites from Battle and make him a playable character. And ignoring like minor stylistic differences between characters in Battle and characters in Advance, you know, pretty much works. It's charming. Yeah. It's nice to have him there. What are you thinking? I'm not sure if I have like immediate diverging thoughts from like popular opinions and discussions of how I would tackle Shadow in 2D.
Mm-hmm. It's hard because it's hard to say what sets apart Shadow moveset wise from Sonic in a 2D game. Like it's hard enough to do it in a 3D game, but it's even harder to do it in 2D where he's literally never been.
Yeah. Once, but it doesn't count. Rivals barely counts.
Yeah, Rivals does not count. Because like I forget who made it, but there was a very, very good SRB2 Shadow character.
Inazuma.
Where and I believe he had like Chaos Snap, so he could teleport a couple times.
Yeah.
And that is very
2
smart.
teleports per jump. And a homing attack.
Yeah. And those are very cool. I don't know if I necessarily agree with like the general fan idea of just kind of giving Shadow more modern, like very modern Sonic moveset design, whereas giving Sonic, you know, something like he has in Advance where it's very classic. There's not much to it. Oh, I just remembered also, apropos of nothing, Sonic still has the Insta-Shield in SA3.
Yeah.
You can only do it with Knuckles, and you do it by pressing the B button in the air.
It's super strange. They shifted a lot of stuff around, like, maybe not for no reason, but like reasons that are hard to discern.
Yeah. But anyway, Shadow. I guess the real question is, what would he provide that nobody else does? Because like when we said, oh, Blaze or Shadow, I know what role Blaze fulfills. I am very well versed in Sonic Rush, so I know what her purpose is. But like, I don't know what Shadow should be. Like, should he be like the Luigi to Sonic, where he's just a lot more reckless and loose, but he can go more?
Oh, you saying that gives me a thought, actually. It's not like the most unique thing to Shadow, but you could give him some kind of wall jump in the vein of the triangle jump, which he kept going into Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
It's not like incredible, but I could imagine that synergizing interestingly with a looser, like less traction-based gameplay style.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like I've done a lot of like character moveset theorizing for Sonic games in the past. I have like 5, maybe 6 different text documents on my computer and on my Dropbox somewhere that's just, here's a list of Sonic characters and how they might control in a hypothetical fan game or something. And a lot of the time I've approached Mighty with the wall kick because he had it in Knuckles Chaotix. And there was this brief period where I had this fun idea for him that was a combination of the wall kick and the Insta-Shield. He would deflect projectiles and be invulnerable when you time it, but it doesn't extend his hitbox. But if you use it on the ground, you get a higher bounce off the ground, kind of like the bubble shield. If you time it when you're about to hit a wall, you bounce up and away off the wall. And something like that would be really interesting for a character who has a hard time stopping moving.
Right.
I
See,
don't know how you'd make it work thematically with Shadow, but like I think the mechanics are kind of there.
I like that idea for Mighty because it implies with him thematically, like you said, that he's, rebounding off walls.
Yeah, it has to do with his shell.
Yeah. So I think that can work differently from Shadow, who comparatively his wall jump I think would be very stilted. Like Mighty's wall jump would be 100 million% momentum based.
Totally.
If you go like hurtling into a wall and then you rebound off of it, you're gonna go hurtling back in the opposite direction almost just as fast.
Mm-hmm.
But with Shadow, I think his should be like, okay, I'm on the wall now. You have a second to jump off, and it's gonna be a set distance.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I can
like
see
a
that.
lot
That
more
is
like the
very
triangle
like
jump.
yeah, and yeah, exactly. That pulls from the triangle jump.
Yeah.
The other thing there is that like from a gameplay sense, thematically, that would position the move more as like a okay, now I need to stop kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is my tool for controlling myself.
Right.
Does that feel right for Shadow?
I think so. Like if he's overall very fast and loose, and then he has a very specific maneuver that can kind of stop him in a very specific way.
Yeah. I feel like my gut instinct is to give him not a homing attack, but an air dash that's like I might need more time to describe this, but like in a nutshell, what I'm envisioning is like the exact cross section of the Sonic 4 air dash and the Sonic Generations air dash, where like it has that sort of holding it at a specific vertical point in the air as it goes forward for a little bit and then dropping, but it doesn't just cut you off like it does in Generations. Instead, it leaves you with some momentum, but it doesn't stack. It doesn't stack and build up and is like an easy speed tool like in Sonic 4. Something kind of like that would be kind of nice, because then you jump off the wall, you have the ability to extend your jump further, which can be used in conjunction with level design that's aware of this to make parts of the level that I suppose both Shadow and Knuckles could go to, but other characters would have a hard time getting to.
Okay. Amy kind of has that in SA3. If you are Amy and your partner is Sonic, then if you press jump again in the air, then she has a air dash that basically works like that.
Huh.
It's not, I guess additive or multiplicative, to put it in blending terms. It doesn't really give you more speed than you already have. It is a set speed.
Mm.
But it's not as like pathetic as it is in Generations. I don't
That's
know,
good.
because like I think the problem with the air dash in Sonic 4 is that first of all it feels terrible to just walk on the ground throughout the whole game
True.
for like
You
a
have
myriad
to
of
use the air
reasons.
dash just to make it palatable.
I feel like he just has to have a Thok. Like he can't have anything else, right? He just has to have like a full on hard air dash.
I guess that's fine. There isn't really anything wrong with that. And I think like I won't put this down too hard, but like maybe if the same team that made Sonic Advance 3 made a Sonic Advance 4 a year later, and they were tasked with adding more characters from the Sonic Advance 3 cast, I could see them just doing that. I don't really want to, because in my mind, in 2D Sonic, having basically the Thok is just kind of mind-numbing gameplay-wise. It's either you use it super expertly and it's like incredibly tight gameplay, or you just use it a bunch kind of brain deadly and it can land you in some really tough situations, or it can just kind of push you through everything and make the game uninteresting, one or the other. And I don't find it as interesting to play around with in 2D.
What if its speed and distance was relative to your current speed and distance? So
that kind of just makes it like the Sonic 4 air dash then.
I guess so. I guess you're right, yeah. I feel like the Sonic 4 air dash is always a very You know what it is? It's that it's always a pathetic distance no matter what. It's just the pathetic distance is relative to your current speed, so it always feels pathetic.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I feel like it should be like extreme difficult to control. Like maybe it should even leave him helpless. I feel like it should be fun to barrel through with Shadow, but you have to be very confident in how you're doing it. Like maybe when he's in the middle of the dash, he is curled, so like he deals damage, but like in the recoil to that he uncurls, which
Maybe.
is I think that's it's kind of how Sonic 4 works. I'm pretty sure technically in Sonic 4, if you're not doing a homing attack, you are technically uncurled the entire duration of the air dash.
Maybe. Oh, I can't remember. I only played it
Yeah.
like the one time semi recently, and I didn't have a good time.
Yeah. I think that would be too hard to test just by virtue of
Yeah.
how it works because you would end up homing attacking more often than not.
Yeah, of course. I think this sounds interesting. I think what I would do ideally is approach it both ways for Shadow and feel out which one actually feels the best, but in just a thought experiment context, I'd be fine either way, I guess.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like the sort of character I wouldn't like reach for to play as in a Sonic game, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't exist.
Right. I think we went through the whole thing without even trying to give him chaos powers. This is just like how he would play bare minimum. Granted, we also didn't even touch the B button. So
He'd probably have some weird chaos stuff in the B button. He'd probably just have Chaos Spear, right? Ooh.
I think Chaos
He would
Spear
just
would
have-
be pretty easy.
He would have Chaos Spear and he'd be able to hold in the air, just like the games where he has Chaos Spear.
Yeah, exactly. Which then made me remember again what I talked about earlier, the Chaos Snap in the SRB2 character. And you could have that be his quote unquote air dash, where every time you press the A button, like maybe twice per jump, like in the thing, you go like a set distance in, I guess, any of the 8 directions that you want.
I was kind of thinking that earlier, that like Shadow would work just fine with like hypersonic air dash, just without the screen nuke.
Yeah.
Kind of a similar angle.
Mm-hmm. That'd be pretty good.
I think it'd be pretty good. I really do like the idea of him having all of his chaos stuff on the B button, but I'm just generally into giving each button their own like mechanical theme.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that does make it more, I guess, digestible. It makes it more understandable how that button works when that button only does the one thing.
Yeah.
Or at least it only does that one thing thematically.
Yeah, of course. I feel good on the Shadow.
Yeah. Which means that now we get to talk about Blaze. So
tell me what separates Blaze's slow fall from Knuckles' glide.
Her slow fall is easier to handle, and I think it speeds up over time.
So does Knuckles' glide, but that's fine.
Does it?
Yeah, it does it over like a duration that's kind of hard to see in a lot of the time when you're playing those games, but
speed up horizontally or vertically?
Horizontally.
Blaze's she falls faster over time. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Got it.
Yeah, so hers can peter out. She definitely does not. She has a set horizontal speed. It does run out after a little bit, I believe, which I think you could just translate to, slowing down, whereas Knuckles can go forever. So Knuckles is more built around covering a very, very wide horizontal distance, whereas I think Blaze's would be more course correction.
Yeah, okay. I'm into that. It's simple, it's approachable.
Yeah. Blaze is very like, she could be easy mode Sonic in a way, because in terms of movement, she's already more platforming oriented rather than Sonic speed oriented. And that's kind of what all of her kit revolves around in both of the Sonic Rush games.
Does she have like tighter air control in those games?
Yes.
Like
she has higher jumps, and I believe she has better air control, maybe. because
That's
like
kind of cool.
in the Sonic Rush games, you already have pretty good air control because
Right.
momentum is like barely a thing. But she definitely 100% jumps higher. Something I've noted is that in Rush Adventure, the first act is always geared around Sonic, and the second act is geared around Blaze.
Right.
So it was definitely an intentional, thoughtful thing to do that.
This is kind of interesting to me because none of the characters in Advance control differently.
Right.
Not even Amy has lower top speed, I don't believe. It's just way more awkward to actually get her to top speed compared to the other characters.
Mm-hmm. I guess in our hypothetical Sonic Advance 4 year,
Yeah.
the characters would have their weight differences back, and then maybe Amy would be tweaked to be less grating to play a moment to moment.
Right. I could see her being a higher acceleration character.
Right, yeah.
If there's a chance you're going to be starting and stopping a lot or getting hurt a lot more as this character compared to others, it'd be nice to give them the chance to get back to speed faster.
Yeah.
Something else I just also realized that we could have talked about a tag action for Shadow if we wanted.
Okay.
And my first immediate thought is that's where you actually put Chaos Control teleportation.
Yeah, that I agree. That's also what I thought immediately, is to give him just the air dash and then put the teleportation there.
Yeah, it'd be very cool because then it's two people teleporting at once, and it's neat, and it's building relationships between the characters.
Yeah, plus then it's different from Tails, like his leap that he gives you.
Yeah.
Because presumably you would be able to get teleported in any of the 8 directions at your discretion.
They probably balance it out just by giving it less of a range / reach compared to how high you can go with Tails' leap or flight, or how far you can go with Knuckles' glide.
Yeah.
That was all I had.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Would Blaze have anything else, you think?
Well, I think because in Sonic Rush, her air hover thing is mapped to R, so I figure in this game it would just be you hold A second time.
Yeah, that's what I assumed it was. I'm surprised it's not that.
Yeah, because in Rush, Sonic has the homing attack, which is also mapped to R, which is funny.
Huh. That's also the trick button still, right?
Yeah, but you only do tricks off of springboards and stuff.
Yeah,
so it doesn't get in the way. I'm trying to remember if he has the insta shield in that game.
I feel like he doesn't.
I don't think he does. But yeah, he does have the homing attack.
I'd be kind of surprised because it feels like in the advanced games, aside from it just being kind of like a back burner ability for him that's not really emphasized much, it really feels like they mostly kept it from game to game just because it was there and it was easy to port over every time they were building a new game in the same engine.
Yeah, because he has an air dash if you use the homing attack if you press R when there's no enemy, and then he just has the homing attack if an enemy is nearby, which is useful in very specific instances, but is never required. So, I guess, yeah, Blaze's hover would be remapped to A. I don't know what she would have in terms of the B button stuff at all. She doesn't really have any defining offensive maneuvers.
This would be a fun opportunity, I think, to have a character who could attack while moving.
That's true. That would be fitting.
You could just give her whatever the name of that move is she has on the ground in Sonic 06, where she twirls around.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Just let her have that on the ground. It doesn't halt momentum or stop her or anything.
And then maybe if she keeps her little fire tornado roll effect, if you press the B button while doing that, like if you're doing it while jumping or rolling, then it could like explode or get bigger or something like that.
I was also thinking that. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It'd be a nice way to like introduce more fire motifs into her gameplay too.
Yeah, I think that would definitely give her a very like easy to pick up and fun to play position that I don't think a lot of other characters really fulfill right now.
Yeah, I agree.
That's interesting. It's interesting that Blaze is like a weird quasi beginner character by being very approachable, I guess.
I don't want to
Without even a flight.
Yeah, without even a flight. I don't want to like interrupt the Blaze discussion too much because I would like to like keep the whole thing going for each character of like let's talk about basic ability, B ability, tag move. But
Right.
this does segue into something I was thinking about pre-recording. I wasn't sure when or if it was going to come up, but I did have some thoughts of like how we would tweak the existing cast.
Mm.
I've talked about this before, especially when we talked about Sonic 3, about how I just don't find Tails very compelling to play as in the 2D games with his flight and the way it controls.
Yeah.
I think they could just let you curl and then fly again and curl and whatever, and just like maintain a flight timer behind the scenes that can still run out, and it wouldn't like kill his gameplay or anything or make him too overpowered. It would just make him fun.
Yeah. I think a lot of the characters like Tails suffer from having restrictions that are, I guess, very specifically unfun. I think with a character like Knuckles especially, that kind of stands in the way of me fully enjoying the character more than Sonic.
Yeah.
Because like I never want to play as anyone that isn't Sonic just because I like how Sonic plays without any real frills. Like if I'm playing something like Mania, I'll pick max control just because I have the most things to do, but it still feels the most, cohesive, and it feels like it provides the most flow. So I guess to me that question would be how do you extend that thought process to all the other characters and give them an increased sense of flow without taking away anything?
I had something for Knuckles, but it's way different than what I just proposed for Tails, which is like a minor tweak that would allow for more game flow. We could get into it if you're interested.
We can, and I don't know if this is what you were about to say, but the first thing I thought of was to just give his glide the thing that he has in Sonic Adventure.
Oh, where you can curl up
Yeah.
out of it and glide again.
Yep.
It would help. I had a completely different route that I was going to go down. I think that you could give his glide to someone else, maybe in this case Blaze, like make it a little closer to his glide, maybe. And give him the ability to dig through ground like the Drill Wisp and Colors.
Mm.
And it would require a lot of like radical rethinking of how you let a character like that approach Sonic levels. But I think it would be very fun, and it would tie into... I feel like Knuckles' gameplay thematically is entirely about exploration, like 100%, especially being in Sonic 3.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give him something like that, then it's just, okay, he can go basically anywhere as long as there's ground to pop out of. And it synergizes well with his wall climbing, because he can get up onto a wall and then dig through it. Mm-hmm. If you give him the ability to latch onto ceilings too, he would work well with that too.
I think what I'm getting hung up on is that like reshaping level designs to also accommodate for Knuckles digging is a huge undertaking. This reminds me of a conversation I had I think last week, where someone was saying, oh, they should put in like swimming in Breath of the Wild 2 because that was a planned feature in Breath of the Wild 1 and they couldn't get to it. But like being able to do that completely opens up an entire extra dimension of level design you have to account for. It's not as simple as like, oh, you could just do this. It's also like, now that you can do this, you can now do all of these things and we have to account for it. So I wonder if there's a way that like the digging can be met in the middle, so it's not as, like big and open as Sonic Colors Drill Wisp, but it can be more, it fits a little more in the existing Sonic framework.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the way you would do that is by making it like Drill Mario in Galaxy 2.
Oh,
which is
right,
a
where it just
very
goes in the one
specific
direction.
Thing. Yeah, it goes in the one direction and then he pops out on the other side, which would let you go through the level in different ways, and then maybe have it so he can dig into walls when he's climbing horizontally to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think that would be really doable, and then what they could do with that is have really small level design approach tweaks where they put some objects sometimes in the wall to block him from going through or to redirect him.
Yeah.
So you can work with that. That'd be a lot smaller of a task.
Yeah, like basically what you would do is you would hint at there being little areas that you can dig through by changes in the tile set,
Mm-hmm.
because you would basically have, we'll say three different layers of tile that you would be working with. You would have like the surface, and then you would have like dirt, which he can travel through, and then you would have something hard
Mm-hmm.
that he can't. And then you would demonstrate that through having most of the level would have that like hard whatever stone. Like if he's in Green Hill Zone, it would be like a hard stone kind of texture or tile that would demonstrate, okay, Knuckles cannot dig further than like a little bit, and like he'll pop out with like an item or a couple rings like he does in Adventure.
Yeah.
Um, but if you are observant and you see, oh, it looks like there's like a crack in the ground that goes really deep, Knuckles can probably dig all the way down through that. Then he'll pop out
Yeah.
through like the other side. Or if he's like in the top path, that should always be dirt. Always.
Yeah.
Like the entire top path should just be all dirt. And then he should dig under. And then I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier. He should be able to dig along ceiling, or not dig, climb along ceilings too.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you pop out on the other side and then you're just climbing along the ceiling.
And an important thing for me to note here is that they'd have to make it really, really easy to transfer from wall to ceiling. Like it has to be an input that's very hard to miss. That's kind of the only thing I'd be worried about.
I think it could be as simple as when you're holding up to climb up on a wall, once he reaches a ceiling, he just starts like he'll latch onto the ceiling and he'll hang down like he does in Sonic Boom.
I think that's good. I think that's good, and they should also make it that if you jump up toward a ceiling and you're holding up, period, you'll latch onto it.
Yeah.
So that people who want to make the transfer faster can jump up off the wall near like the corner of the wall and the ceiling, and also get up onto the ceiling that way.
Right. Yeah.
But then there's also the simple option that's completely unobtrusive and impossible to mess up. I like this a lot, actually. Something that I was kind of thinking about once I started voicing the whole thing, though, is that this would take away Knuckles having like an active thing he can just do in the air, apropos of nothing with his surroundings. Mm-hmm. If he didn't have the glide, I'm not sure if you would replace it with something or if he would just keep his glide and get this ability too. I guess it wouldn't really harm his kit or like make it too unfocused or too much.
Yeah, I think if you take his glide away, then it should just be as simple as, oh, you press the jump button when you're against a wall or a ceiling, and then you'll latch on.
Yeah.
The problem there is that having the glide makes it instantly more intuitive to know that you can climb on walls, because you will glide into a wall and now you are on the wall.
Yeah. He'd probably use the B button then to well, he would. I just realized he'd use the B button to dig.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Had to think about it for a sec, but there isn't really any other option if he could still jump off walls and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
The only other major thought I had for like character rework stuff is I just don't like that Amy's whole kit is based around her having a hammer. Mm-hmm. And this is more of a character design issue than it is a gameplay issue. Her mechanics are interesting and they're fun and they're worthwhile. They're a worthwhile addition. But just the fact that within the advanced games, it's just her and Cream are the only girls. And before Advance 2, it was just her. And before Advance 2, in other games, it was also just her. And she couldn't curl up. She needs a weapon to fight. It's just kind of weird that the only girl in your cast have these two attributes. Having Cream made it better. The fact that she can curl up in some games kind of makes it better. Having Blaze would make it better. Mm-hmm. I've always just been kind of hung up on how you would do anything with Amy without a hammer, though, because she doesn't really have a character gameplay-wise without it. They've never done that.
Right.
So it'd pretty much just be whole cloth.
I think you could implement the hammer in a more clever way that makes it feel more intuitive to her kit, I think. Like maybe instead of her not being able to curl, her jump arc works differently, where maybe it's bigger on the rise, and then on the way down she doesn't have any jump arc because she's jumping with the hammer.
I'm not sure I understand.
So like when she jumps, she still curls like on the rise while she's rising, and she has
Mm-hmm.
the hammer out, but it's doing like a vertical spin, like a saw blade basically. So her
Yeah.
hitbox is bigger. So she's basically doing the insta shield, like the twin spin attack part of it, as she's rising in her jump. But when she falls, she stops spinning, like she uncurls,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is sort of how the animation goes in Sonic Heroes, minus the hammer, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Be kind of
So
interesting.
functionally, she would have a bigger hitbox on the rise, but she would be more vulnerable on the way down. But she could probably still like jump on enemies. Like I don't think she should be able to not do that. I think that'd be a little silly.
I guess like my hang up there is I'm not sure how much I personally would enjoy playing a Sonic character who has like context sensitive hitboxes.
Right.
My preference would be to put as much control as possible into the player, I guess.
Yeah.
I've always
Because
found that I just don't really like the timing of her hammer swing in the air.
I mean, maybe the alternative is to just always give her that big hitbox and then try to figure out a different way around it that would keep her balanced. Because I do think putting the hammer into her jump is like a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. When I bring up Amy like this and the hammer like this, it's mostly that I find it weird that she's thematically the only character with a weapon.
Right.
The only other characters I can think of are like Fang, uh, and now Whisper, I suppose, being
Yeah.
kind of like the substitute for the Force's avatar.
Cream to a degree.
Yeah, kind of the reason I didn't single her out is that she performs just fine without cheese. Cheese just makes her incredibly powerful,
Yeah.
which is fun, but it's kind of just Amy, and I feel like what would make her stand out less is if there were more characters who also did that.
hmm
I don't know how you make them interesting or like different from how Amy controls, but it's
Yeah.
just something I think about.
I think it's tough because with her, I would double down on the hammer.
Yeah.
I think that it's interesting, though, the way that she can use it to kind of augment her movement. And the problem I have with it is that it's very stilted. There's nothing she could do in the way of, moment to moment gameplay that helps.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Having something like what she has in Adventure would help a little bit. I think like having that step hammer jump would help her a lot more in a 2D game than in a 3D game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if she's running at fast speed and you use the hammer instead of your momentum completely being halted, you instead do like a really big hammer jump off the ground.
That would be kind of cool.
And then maybe if we're giving her that hammer jump, pressing the B button in the air turns it into like a little projectile, like she throws it.
That would be kind of fun.
Like it could boomerang forward a little bit and then back. See, the thing that has me hung up on that is the revelation that with a certain character setup in Sonic Advance 3, I think with Sonic, Cream and Cheese becomes a projectile character.
Oh yeah, really? Does it like go out? Does cheese go out further?
Cheese does not home in on things, but like he's a projectile now. Like he'll go out and then he'll come back.
Huh.
Like he goes out in a straight line, which is really interesting. And I think that's how you would balance Cream and Cheese, because having a projectile like that is really good in a Sonic game, period, regardless of if it homes in on things.
Yeah. I kind of already pitched this for Blaze, but I feel like one angle you could take on Amy to make her gameplay less stilted without doing too much to change like the fundamental idea of what she does would be to make her hammer swing just not stop her at all. And
Yeah.
make it, instead of making it vertical, make it horizontal. So
Yeah.
the goal is just to hit things that are in front of you.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
With good timing, you could smack anything out of the way, and you don't have to stop moving. And it makes it more of like a rhythmic exercise, a timing exercise, which I think would only heighten the whole thing of her being a very skill-based character.
See, I can't get this out of my head, so I just have to verbalize it. She should just be Odyssey Mario. Like,
That's where you're going with the projectile?
a little bit. I think that's where like my logical step has to go, because it's like if the hammer goes out and it's like a little boomerang, so like it goes out, it goes forward and then it comes back. If you press the jump button again when it comes back to her, she should be able to get like a little hop out of it, which is how Cappy works. And then if you're running really fast and she has a hammer swing and it's horizontal instead of being vertical, then while you're doing that hammer swing, you should be able to press A, and then you get a big boost jump out of that too. Which adds to the rhythmic nature of it.
You could even, if you let her roll on the ground, you could have pressing the hammer button at that point do a jump.
Yeah, that exactly. And that could be the big, front flip that she has in Adventure.
Yeah.
Whereas
and again, that would no, go ahead.
The running spin would be kind of like a spin jump.
Right.
Maybe that could have more horizontal reach. Like it should give her a little bit of a glide or less fall speed.
Right. Because I like this idea of making all of her rolling hammer attacks vertical and all of her non-rolling attacks horizontal. Yeah, I think it sounds like fun. I mean, it helps that like using Odyssey Mario as a touchstone kind of means it's gonna be fun, because Odyssey Mario is fun.
Yeah. Honestly, if all of her rolling hammer moves are vertical, just make her really technical and have her projectile angle down.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
God, this is so insane. Make it so the projectile angles down, and if it hits an enemy and comes back to her, she bounces back up again.
Oh my god,
like
that's
automatically.
Cool. That's a really fun evolution on the whole thing of in Sonic games landing from a tall height onto something and bouncing that whole height back up.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was thinking it would go like diagonally down. It should go straight down, and when it reaches you, then you should be able to do the jump thing again. Like you press the A button to jump once it hits you, and that should give you like what you just said, like the full rebound. So you should be able to extend your jump hurt box down.
Yeah.
So like you can bounce more. I don't even know how you would describe that. It would like extend your reach for your ability to bounce off of things, and like you should be able to do it off the ground, like Scrooge. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a thing separate from you. You are throwing your hitbox down, and when it comes back to you, it transfers what it picked up, but it picks up more force than you would from just jumping from that height. So you go up higher. It's kinetic energy. We've made a character who uses kinetic energy to move more.
In a Sonic game.
This sounds really fun.
We designed a character that uses kinetic energy in a game about using kinetic energy.
I mean, the big thing for me is that we took the idea of a projectile character and then made it tie into the physics.
Yeah. God.
That's good. That's really good. That's the sort of thrill that I want out of a 2D Sonic game. That's why I conceptualized that whole wall bounce thing for Mighty.
Yeah.
The idea of timing and picking up energy, picking up momentum and speed from the terrain, from other items and objects, is inherently fun to me. And if you can channel that in a way that, even if it's technical and it requires a lot of precision to use, accomplishes that, I think it will be fun inherently.
Mm-hmm.
It encourages a lot of player expression. It encourages a lot of figuring out what you can use around you and critical thought of your environment, and that's good.
True.
Anyway, what would Blaze's tag move be?
Um, I don't know. Oh, also apropos of nothing,
Yeah.
this Amy rework makes her tag actions make more sense.
Oh, hey, that's true too. Actually, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. Maybe oh god, Blazes should be if you do it in the air, then you get the air hover.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty straightforward, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what it would be on the ground though.
I feel like on the ground she'd give you some kind of horizontal boost, but I don't know what it would be. Like if it would just be straightforward and she launches you ahead.
If you wanted to be weird about it, she could give you a shield, like a
Huh.
very brief fire shield.
That like opens the door for a lot of other stuff.
There is I think Knuckles has it. His tag move with Cream, either one way or the other, makes cheese into a barrier.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. Huh.
Yeah, they do crazy stuff.
I like the
Cause
idea of like a temporary fire shield.
yeah, I feel like it should be a little more interactive than that because like I think hmm, I feel like almost her aerial one should be like a flame pillar of some kind that sends you up, but I don't know because I like the hover better.
Can I pitch you something different?
Yeah.
Maybe she has that kind of flame pillar on the ground, but in the air it's literally the Sonic 3 and Knuckles flame shield fire dash.
Uh, that's interesting.
With the effect and all.
That yeah, that gave me a better idea
Yeah.
than the one I had before, which is that regardless, her attacks or her tag actions will give you flame immunity during them, like no matter
Oh,
what they
true.
are.
That is a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
It could just use kind of the same effect for the ground one then too, just angled upward.
Yeah. Ooh, actually, yeah, that would be interesting because then, hmm, what if her tag actions were just her tricks from Sonic Rush?
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Because then the up one is, that kind of weird flame pillar, but then the ground would be, it would be a dash, but like a different kind of dash. Or maybe
Hmm.
just switch those. That would be more interesting, I think, if you switch them.
Would there be something interesting also in making the aerial tag action like an on-demand trick? Like you can
Yeah.
you can go the different directions with it?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Because I was thinking that the aerial one would be strictly the horizontal one, which covers a lot of distance.
True.
And that naturally covers more distance than any of the stock advanced tricks, which lets her keep that tech from Rush without, with while conforming her with the other advanced characters. So like she
Right.
has advanced style tricks, but then her tag actions are the Rush style tricks.
I'm into it either way. The thing that I thought was interesting about having the on-demand trick, the on mm, the on-demand trick for her tag action in the air is just that it brings more control nuance to a tag action than other characters tend to have.
Right.
It could still work in the Sonic Rush horizontal trick for her, or it could just be that. I'd be fine either way. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Shadow and Blaze are definitely the two, I think,
Mm-hmm.
to think about, just because Shadow was hugely important in that era, and then Blaze was the other main character of the successor game to the advanced games, so it just makes sense. For people who don't know this, at the end of the credits in Sonic Rush, the first one, there's some cute little pixel art sprite animations of Blaze, and I think Cream. Sonic is also there.
Yep.
Presumably also Tails. Do you know this better, Matt?
It is. You are right. There is advanced style sprites of Blaze, in the Sonic Rush credits. They also appear in Blaze's ending, just like the whole time, because and on I think the bottom screen there's just a loop
Oh,
of
okay.
if you're in Sonic's story, it's Sonic running from Amy, and if you're in Blaze's story, it's Cream walking with or Blaze walking with Cream.
Got it. Okay. That's kind of like, I see it as like a developmental through line to some degree. The fact that when they went to make more character art 2D to use for that game, even for just like small context, like the bottom screen and the credit sequence, they look just like the advanced game sprites.
Yeah.
So even though she only has that one animation, it's kind of like a nice basis for thinking of her as an advanced character. It just fits.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'd reach for immediately after them. In a weird way, I feel like Rouge doesn't make sense in 2D in the way she does in 3D.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Rouge has a similar thing with Shadow, where it's like, I think with both of them, you can make a good case for them to just be clones of Sonic and Knuckles, respectively.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about Gamma.
Okay. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, because he would definitely be a very, very different character. And I think that if there's any character to not have the ability to curl, it should be Gamma. Um, though I think you could make a case for like he shouldn't have to curl and he could just use um oh, never mind. I'm turning this into a mechanic now. Um, he should just use like the sheer weight and speed of his body as curling. So you can curl, quote unquote, you can have the effect of curling, but only if you're going fast enough. So his gimmick is boost mode, ironically enough. Which also makes sense because that can play into the weird mechanical nature of having your speed tied to the amount of rings you have.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
Because like
Not an
obviously he would be a projectile character, but you got to make him interesting somehow, movement wise.
Yeah, you would be having a run and gun character in your Sonic game.
Yeah.
Freedom Planet tried to do that. They didn't finish developing it fully, but they had Torque, who's otherwise just a story character in that game, as a planned playable character, and they had a bunch of stuff set up for him. There's development builds of the game that I think you can opt into on Steam that have him in it. He's the most developed of the two characters that were planned that didn't get finished. He has this whole like Gunstar Heroes inspired thing where he picks up the like elemental crystals that are used for the shields in Freedom Planet 1 and use them to color what projectile he has access to at that moment. And you get the combinations just like in Gunstar Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I bring that up, but I don't know if that's like a good touchstone. I think Gamma's more straightforward than that as a gunner. Just straightforward projectiles that you can shoot. Basically like a Metal Slug character.
Yeah. I think like maybe you could give him different effects to his bullets when he has shields, but I think otherwise it should just be like Mega Man X, charge shots, little pellets. That's it.
Short shot's fine.
Yeah, like maybe his stock shot, because like the Cream projectile is what made me think it in the first place. It's a pretty reasonably big projectile. It's like the size of Sonic's head, and it goes a pretty decent distance.
Yeah.
So I think if that's the bare minimum, and for a Sonic game where you are moving as fast as you should, charge shot should be pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a fine metric. I guess the question is, would you at all attempt to make the projectiles play into his movement at all whatsoever? I know the answer is yes, and you should let him aim in the 4 cardinal directions.
Yeah, I was thinking that was going to be the case.
Yeah, so basically, it's the force of nature from TF2.
Explain.
Depending on the direction you shoot, you will experience recoil in the opposite direction.
Oh, okay. I have a different touchstone for this, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
In Mega Man 4 on the Game Boy, and only Mega Man 4, they made the charge shot give you recoil when you fire it in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see it feeling very similar to that for Gamma. But
yeah.
This is a more momentum-based game than that.
Yeah, I think It should definitely probably only really be in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that the recoil should be pretty extreme to compensate for the way that Sonic is. And doing this lets him have a double jump basically.
Oh, yeah, if you shoot down. Oh, interesting.
Here's okay. This is where he would get insane. Is that he would have, the little jetpack. You could still shoot with it, and you should be able to use the boost from shooting downwards with the jetpack to get humongous airtime.
Yeah.
I forget what game has that, but I know something does that I've played. Where
I
it's like
can't
you could
think of
use it,
it.
where you could use a hover to extend the effectiveness of your, I I guess Smash Brothers, like with the Mario Tornado and the Luigi Tornado.
Is it Duck Game? Does Duck Game let you do
Maybe.
that? It feels like the sort of thing Duck Game would let you do.
I don't know, because I think the jetpack and stuff there is pretty straightforward and they work
Hmm.
pretty independently.
Okay. Well, the thing it makes you think of, which is it's very different, but part of the reason I thought of it is because I've been thinking of something else for Gamma's shots. I keep thinking of the machine gun in Cave Story,
Hmm,
and I don't
maybe.
know if I would actually want that, but I have this idea in my head of somehow Gamma being able to have like a heavy machine gun type shot
Hmm.
from Metal Slug, because I really like the idea of, like in Metal Slug, only being able to shoot in the cardinal directions, but if you're already firing and you change from forward to up, you will still fire a spread of shots diagonally,
Interesting.
as long as you're holding the shoot button.
Here's what I'm going to propose, and it's very elaborate, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't have auto fire, like you still have a charge shot. I'm getting conflicted because you don't necessarily, if it works like the machine gun in Cave Story, you don't necessarily need a charge shot for recoil, but I digress. The
I don't
point
know.
is,
Like I said.
um, every time you press the button, it fires like 3 shots automatically in rapid succession. So if you want a rapid fire, you just gotta tap like a reasonable amount,
Okay.
but you don't necessarily hold it down, because then if the recoil from a charge shot is like a lot, then that would help.
Hmm. I like this. For one, I can't remember. Do the bosses in the advanced game have? Do the bosses in the advanced games have invulnerability frames for when you fire cheese at them?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Then no problem. I could see a triple shot for Gamma working just fine.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the more I think it would be more fun to just not have a charge shot and have like a machine gun recoil, because then you could still have the jetpack low gravity. Like you could hold down A to use the jetpack and then also fire downwards to have low gravity and the recoil from the machine gun,
Yeah.
which would make you go way up. I do think it is like the green cyclone in Smash Brothers, where if you jump right before doing it, you go considerably higher. Like your airspeed upwards is a lot more than
Right.
it would be otherwise.
I do kind of like that.
Yeah,
How would Gamma tag up with anyone?
it's a good question.
Like, kind of the easy answer is, especially, I guess, especially since we took it away from Blaze, he could just have the hover.
Right. Weird thing. He is a character like Cream, where if you use his tag action, you get his gun, and every character's
Yeah,
gun works differently.
I was also just thinking this. I think that's very funny.
Yeah, and then Knuckles can just have like a Proto Man charge shot.
Aw, man. Giving Knuckles the only charge shot is kind of funny.
Yeah, I think I like that actually.
I do too. That's charming. These are the little things you get out of adding new characters and letting them influence how other characters function.
Yeah.
Is everyone has a gun now.
Honestly, with how we've concocted him, Gamma sounds insane to play as, considering he would just be a wrecking ball with a gun.
Yeah. I feel like the only other thing I would try doing with him, and I don't think it would be fun, I would just want to try doing it, is to just make him control like heavy from chaotics.
Hmm.
So he doesn't have speed, but he also is effectively invulnerable.
That would be interesting. That would be evil also.
Yeah.
God.
I don't think it would be fun. It just felt like kind of the right thing. It just jumped out at me at like that's the immediate analog.
Well, that's kind of what the collateral thing I mean is, where like once you get a high enough speed, you're basically invincible because you're in boost mode.
Yeah, exactly. When you mentioned that, my brain went to, oh yeah, there is a character who's like that all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be fun.
Ooh, maybe you could make him like really elaborate and make it so instead of having like a crouching animation, whenever you press down, he'll mode change into the speed setting, and then
That's kind of fun.
he'll have like two iframes or something when he switches between them, and then if you press up again, then he'll go back to normal, and then maybe his shots are weaker or something like that. I do think that like his individual like bullets should be, I guess, 1/3 of a standard like spin attack hit, especially for
So you have to
bosses.
hit all three of them to hit a single enemy.
Maybe not the enemies, like maybe that doesn't have to matter, but definitely for bosses.
Okay. That makes some amount of sense, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think of with the mode change is you could actually genuinely have him control like heavy when he's not in his compact mode.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Best of both worlds.
That's funny. I'd really like to see someone try this.
We
We're not ideas guys. This is a whole ideas episode. It's just for fun. We're not out here saying please make this for us. But if you want to, if this inspires you, do share it.
yeah, this is in fact probably one of the most insane ideas we've ever had.
Yeah, for real. For the context of this episode, do you want to stay limited to characters that are like quote unquote not classic or no?
I mean, we've kind of dipped into Mighty, although that was within the context of a classic game.
Yeah.
I do think that we are leaning into the framework of an advanced style game. So I feel
Right.
like more modern characters would work. Personally, I would like to stay within the realm of the Dreamcast era in that sense.
Yeah.
But I do think we've kind of covered our ground there, excluding someone like LTASonic, who has never really had a defined 2D moveset.
Which is weird. We could talk about that for a moment. I don't know if you have any like express thoughts. I definitely would want Metal Sonic to not control like how he looks like he would control from the Sonic CD boss fight or from Sonic Heroes, God forbid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you would translate any of that into a 2D gameplay style, but you know.
Yeah. I would give him, just like off the top of my head, I feel like it's stepping on the toes of your Mighty a little bit, but you should give him the drop dash, but he rebounds instead of dashing necessarily. It's not like as crazy as a rebound as Mighty will be, where it's like you press the A button as soon as you hit the ground and then you bounce. Like you bounce. But with Metal Sonic, it should be like you hit the ground with like a thud and you just bounce a little bit, which I think is a move he has in Mania.
Oh, maybe.
I believe
Yeah.
he has the ability to kind of bounce around like that.
He doesn't really use it too much. In Mania, he just flies back and forth, and he's got like he dives in a swoop while rolling. He goes from left to right while like horizontal and electrical, or he'll wait in place and dive directly at you while electrified.
Yeah.
Those are the things he does, and then he gets up in the thing, and then he comes out of that thing, and then he gets big. So are you saying like he still has the whole drop dash as it functions, but he drops with a little bounce before he lands and rolls off?
Maybe. Because I was mostly just thinking of the little bounce rather than having the dash itself, and it could be maybe more of an offensive maneuver. This is
Hmm.
similar to an idea that I had for my own Sonic like game where like the heavier offense character was he had a move like Mighty's Heavy Drop, but it worked like this where you would drop and you would drop through anything basically once. I forget, does Mighty's Heavy Drop go through enemies or does it bounce off of them?
It goes right through them.
Okay, so yeah, it's basically the same thing as that. I think with Metal Sonic it would be less you go straight down and more like you are carrying your momentum to the ground like with a drop dash. But when you hit the ground it's a little thud.
Okay. What I'm trying to figure out is like what the utility of that is. I could see it being interesting with the terrain in places, like if you use it on a decline.
Right.
But like, what else does it do for you?
Hmm. Maybe then it would just be kind of like the heavy drop, but like a little less. You are now stuck doing this until the end of time.
Right. Hmm.
Um, I do also think that he shouldn't have a spin dash in the traditional sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you hold down and charge up what would be a spin dash, he should like kick up sparks. Like you should get into that little ready position that he gets in at the start of the usual Metal Sonic races, and then his role is replaced with like his dash when he's behind you in Sonic CD.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that'd be fine. It'd be like this interesting analog to the peel out, but without being vulnerable.
Yeah,
Like more of a visual and thematic analog. I think that's cool. I think he's got something there.
yeah. I feel like with Metal Sonic, a lot of it's going to be taking away things and putting them in other places. And I do think that with Metal Sonic, he should be less about rolling and more about running, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how you would do it.
What if he had an air action that was like the Insta Shield but bigger and he uncurled?
Hmm.
And it's like an electric blast. So it kind of creates this incentive to stop being curled.
That would be interesting. I'm mixed on it because you're giving up your main kind of curl state to give you that offensive capability to do that, and it would have to be a pretty good burst maneuver in
Mm-hmm.
order to want to utilize that trade off. Like you would basically have to be invincible the whole time, like the Insta Shield, but more, and it'd have to be a pretty big hitbox, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because that would be good for bosses. I would say for like getting in an extra hit, or like in the rare instance that you need a get off me move in a Sonic game.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm struggling to think of like what makes Metal Sonic unique.
What if you made Metal Sonic the ring consumption character?
Oh God, that's kind of funny actually. Um, oh, I did have this one thought. There are like multiple Metal Sonics for SRB2 that have the jump boost.
Hmm.
The faster you're going, the higher you jump.
Right.
There could be something fun with Metal Sonic where like move wise, he's very similar to Sonic, but he has these little control quirks like that. Kind of emphasizes either his weightiness or um, his build, the fact that he's a robot and he just approaches motion differently.
Yeah. I do feel like the more I think about it, the more he should probably maybe just have the drop dash. Because like if we're still
Mm-hmm.
talking about through the framework of an advanced style game, Sonic has his own little air dashes that kind of
Yeah,
make up the same thing.
yeah.
As much as I love the drop dash.
I mean, I love the drop dash too. If it were my choice, I would give it to Sonic instead of the Insta Shield and give the Insta Shield to someone else.
Yeah.
But I'm also fine with him keeping it, and it does make some like mechanical sense for Metal Sonic.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I guess if we're talking about like a modern game, Mighty wouldn't be there, so we're allowed to think of it this way.
Yeah, true. Maybe you could move his electrical stuff to the tag action, and he could have a ground action and air action that are both like protection based
Hmm.
more than traversal. Like
Oh,
I think
yeah.
as tag actions they should have some kind of mobility, but they could be stunted compared to other characters' tag actions and have a bigger focus on preventing the characters from taking damage for a brief period, just
I
from
have
anything.
I have a ridiculous idea.
Oh, go for it.
His ground tag action is that he gives you the reflector shield from Adventure 2, which at first I thought, where am I going to put this stupid thing in his moveset? He's going to give it to you. And the deal is, you cannot lose it until you jump. Like
Interesting.
it will reflect anything, but if you jump, then it breaks. And like maybe if you roll too, I don't know. But definitely if you
Uh-huh.
jump.
Is that a Sonic Adventure 2 battle thing that I don't know about?
Nope. That just feels right.
No, the reflector shield.
Oh, the reflector? Yeah. Instead of having a spin dash in Sonic Adventure 2, for whatever reason, if you hold down the B button as Metal Sonic, you just have a little diamond shield that reflects anything and it negates special moves.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. That sounds neat to me.
hmm It's in the context of Sonic Adventure 2 battle, it is there
Yeah.
to make him the parallel to Amy, who has super duper cheap special moves because she sucks otherwise.
Yeah.
So,
God. No, I'm into it. I'm into it. I don't know what an air equivalent for that would be.
yeah, maybe that could be like some kind of weird diagonal air dash.
Yeah, I guess. We haven't really like actually given that to anyone.
God, what if his air tag action is like Knuckles' dunk move in Heroes, where you just
Right.
dunk Metal Sonic at the ground and he has like a little explosion when he lands.
Oh, that's funny. Uh Alternatively, Metal Sonic dunks you and you can bounce off the ground and go real high. So you don't want to use it somewhere where you're going to just die or get hurt.
hmm That would be interesting. That makes Metal Sonic really situational. That gives him really like if him dunking you actually makes you rebound like all the time, his tag actions are now ridiculously situational and arguably really good. I almost would want him to dunk you straight down so that
Yeah.
way you have some sort of consistency to it, but I feel like it being diagonal makes it more situational and thus more room to be ridiculous.
Yeah, and more fun.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I like that a lot.
Like imagine doing that down like a chemical plant incline or decline,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
you're just like going straight diagonal down really fast, but there's still gravity. So as soon as you land, you rebound just enough to carry that momentum directly forward now.
That's fun. That's the stuff I'm here for.
God.
I had two other thoughts. One of them is a throwaway. These are not about Metal Sonic. These are about different characters. One of them is a
Okay.
throwaway. If we open the gates to non Dreamcast era characters, you could just put Honey in, and she would just be Carol from Freedom Planet. Easy, done. Um, the other one is if there's anyone else we could add that would make any amount of sense. Oh, actually, I guess it would be Chaos. I guess we could talk about Chaos if we wanted. I was going to say like the Chaotix.
Yeah, the
In
Chaotix, Big,
Heroes.
and Chaos are pretty much the only ones left.
Yeah. Uh, and like from that angle, probably the only one that would be added would be SBO.
hmm
And we've kind of stepped in on what I'm now realizing would be his territory by giving Shadow the wall kick.
Yeah. And by
I,
giving Knuckles ceiling climbing.
yeah. I guess you could give SBO like a proper wall run, unlike in Chaotix where he can latch onto the wall and then walk and build up speed to a run. Maybe SBO could have direct momentum transferal.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind of interesting. But we definitely hit the point where like talking about all these characters means we're talking about a lot of different overlap.
SBO should have something like a Shine Spark.
That's wild. You just said that and my brain blew up.
So if you're SBO and you're running into a straight 90-degree vertical wall, as soon as you're about to run into that wall, you press up, and now he's on the wall and he's running up. But he'll have like a little moment, like the Shine Spark, where he'll like stand down for a second and then he'll just like burst up the wall.
I think that's interesting, but I feel like it would just be more sensible control-wise if you could just jump at the wall.
Yeah, that's true. I just worry that it would be a little clunky because of how it would feel to transfer momentum, whereas doing it like a Shine Spark would be very like, this feels awesome to do it every single time.
I'm mostly just worried about the timing of like right before the wall.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it could be a little lax.
If you made just like a little lax, it would be good. But I feel like if we could keep this exact idea and just have it be you still jump instead of pressing up. I feel like that would feel a little more natural than having to shift the direction you're pressing on the D-pad.
Maybe. Because the thing I want it to feel like is the triangle blocks from Super Mario World. Which, if you were to just do that, then if you literally had like the 90-degree wall, you would just continue holding right. Like there wouldn't even be anything. You would just run up the wall automatically, which would be annoying sometimes, but
yeah, be annoying sometimes. But I could see it being like the simplest and maybe most fun way to approach it.
Yeah, it might be the most fun because that's already how wall running and ceiling running works in Sonic.
Yeah.
You would just make it so he doesn't need a slope to do so.
Yeah. Doesn't need that curve. He can just do it.
Yeah.
I feel like from there it would still be good if you jump off a wall and hit another wall, you can just keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would still be dependent on your momentum, but it's something you could do. And maybe chaining together those jumps would give you a little bit of extra momentum each time.
Right. I think if you have it so he can jump at it from a wall, it should be like a press A at the wall to do it, because otherwise he's a gravity character rather than a wall walking character.
Yeah, I don't want to be a gravity character like he is in Chaotix. I think it would make more sense if he's this like speed conservation character primarily. Right. As long as you have something to work with, but you have to keep holding on to it and using whatever tools you have at your disposal, whether that's getting off the wall right now and going somewhere else, to keep from stopping or slowing down.
Yeah.
And you know, he's all ninja themed, so wall running, classic ninja staple.
Yeah, and then you could just give him shuriken. That'd be cool, actually.
I was thinking about it.
Like,
we've opened the door to projectile characters.
Yeah, it would just be like a short, medium range, kind of big projectile of just a ninja star, and it just goes forward and he can throw out as many as he wants.
Yeah. How Greninja.
Yeah, I mean, then if you want to go really crazy, have it so you throw out one and you hold down the B button still, then you could jump on it as a platform.
I'll give you this. That does sound fun.
God, just make him Squitter.
Oh, that's weird. That's really weird. Like, okay. I like that. I'm not sure how I feel about an SPO specifically. But I also don't know who else I would give that kind of move to.
Yeah, like, I think the way that I see it is you would hold down the B button to throw a shuriken, and it would stay in place as long as you're holding it. Once you're standing on that, you could release and then repress the B button again to throw another one. And then after, like, a half second, the one you were first standing on would then speed up again and then go off. And then you would just continue standing on that new one that you placed, and you rinse and repeat to continue placing shuriken platforms.
Interesting. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most intuitive button-wise, but it could work.
Yeah. I think for his tag action, we should call on heroes again, and in the air, he would just have that leaf tornado. And it could be interpreted as this slow ascent kind of move, similar to Tails, but maybe it ramps up?
And it could draw in items and stuff.
Oh, that's kind of fun. His ground tag action is Rocket Excel.
Oh, poor SBO.
I mean, I'm at the point where, like, even though I like SBO as a character, I don't think I have much in the way of unique thoughts for him.
He
It's
could
not
make
like
you
he doesn't
invisible.
have much. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. It's not like he doesn't have much, but he feels like he's very flexible and you can kind of do anything you want with him.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is fine. It just makes him less interesting for me to think about.
I'm trying to think of how being invisible would be interesting, because being detected by Badniks is not really a thing. But, like, it kind of is. Thinking about it, Badniks don't really do anything until you're nearby in most games.
Yeah, it's true. There are a lot of them that have situational attacks. Like the ones in Metropolis Zone.
Because, like, what I thought was, it would just be identical to LTASonic's thing, where you're just invincible until you jump. But, like, I guess you could still be vulnerable. It would just be timing, and Badniks wouldn't detect you, so you would be able to dispatch them easier.
Yeah, it would probably just be like this 10-second thing. You become semi-transparent. You're not invulnerable, but nothing reacts to you.
Yeah. If you get hurt, then you become visible again.
Yeah. I think that'd be fine. That'd be fun. You could probably even have his air tag action still do that to you.
That's true, yeah. I think if both tag actions do it, then it should be a little bit on the shorter side, but yeah, same idea.
Yeah. Pretty stellar lineup, I think.
Yeah. This was a very productive talk. I think we have some cool characters here.
I'm astounded by our Amy.
Yeah. Our Amy is insane. Our Gamma is insane.
You too could be insane if you want to, and back us on Patreon at patreon.com/LTASonic. Or heck, even follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/LTASonic.
Or if you're feeling really insane, you could go to our website where we have all the episodes and stuff, and it's pretty cool. That's LTASonic.carrd.co.
Mitt, are you on Twitter anywhere?
I am.
Oh.
Do you want to know what my handle is?
I do want to know.
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter at Mitsumi Mario.
And if you really want to, you can find me on Twitter at Crepe Blue.
And you know what? We just might see you in the next zone. Maybe we'll do our tag actions then. Again.
And maybe we'll make another 42 Miis.
Yeah.
In 1 week.
I believe that. I would bet money on that.